All right, so we were planning to do an interview a little while earlier, but you were casting a vote. Can you talk to us about this vote that you just cast?
Well, listen, the government has been shut down for 43 days. During that time, Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. They've gone through lengths of illegally firing government employees, illegally threatening their back pay. We've also seen the very cruel practice of withholding food from hungry families. And that's because they had one goal. And that goal was to not negotiate on extending the ACA tax credits. And they made that pretty clear that they have no intention of working with Democrats to solve this problem that's going to result in health costs, not just, tripling, quadrupling for the over 20 million Americans who rely on it, but it's going to cause all of our health costs, all of our healthcare costs to go up because people like my parents, when they were 58 years old, when my dad lost his job and they had pre-existing conditions, were unable to afford their health coverage because that was before the ACA was even passed. They're going to make the choice when they see that their healthcare costs are going to go up 11, 12,000, even $20,000 a year, that they're just going to make the choice to go uninsured. And what that means is you're less screenings, less preventative care. People are going to end up in our emergency rooms for care. We already have seen 100,000 Nevadans get Medicaid pulled out from under their feet. So there's going to be incredible stress on our healthcare system. And my message to Republicans was, I will always sit down at the table with you to negotiate in good faith. And there was no good faith on negotiations in this case. And so if they want my vote, sit down with me. I've signed on to a 1 year extension. I'm willing to talk about a 2 year extension with income caps on it. But you got to be in Washington to sit down. And Mike Johnson kept Republicans away for close to 2 months because they really did not want to negotiate on this.
I know one of the negotiation points, or seeming one of the negotiation points for those close in Washington right now, seems to be when it comes to abortion coverage and other women's health care coverage, as well as being maybe withheld if the ACA gets extended. What's your thoughts on that?
Listen, I mean, you know that I believe firmly that the decisions regarding women's reproductive care should belong to a woman and her family and her doctor. Again, I was elected in 2018 after Republicans attempted 70 times to roll back the ACA. Okay. So we know where they are on this. Donald Trump's never liked the Affordable Care Act. And Republicans have walked lockstep with him on this issue. And so they've been pretty clear on this. So, what I worry about is, yes, let's work on a negotiation to extend these, but that means I'm not going to roll back protections for reproductive care. I'm not going to roll back protections for kids up to the age of 26 to remain on their parents' health care. And I'm certainly going to be watching to make sure there's no rollbacks in protections for pre-existing conditions. So, this is part of the playbook. We've seen this before. If they really are willing to negotiate in good faith, we have till the end of January to do that. Let's do that. But unfortunately, people I just got my Health Link notification to get on the marketplace to buy my health coverage for the next year. People are having to make those decisions, and they're going to be before the end of January. So they're already going to see these incredible impacts that are going to cause an immense amount of stress for families, whether you pay for your health care or pay your rent. And so I think that we have an opportunity to work on this, but you can't negotiate with someone who doesn't want to negotiate with you.
Kind of in that perspective as well, what did you make of the fact that Nevada senators signed on for the deal with 60-40 to force that vote to come back to you? Do you understand their positions? Do you have any disagreements with it?
Absolutely. Yeah, listen, I would have liked to have received the same deal in the House, where the House of Representatives was called to lay down their record on the ACA tax extensions and have a vote. So they at least won that concession. So we'll see where Republicans really stand on this and not hide behind any type of shutdown. They'll have to show how they really feel about Americans affording their health care. Listen, I mean, it's unfair that our federal employees, our air traffic controllers, our civilians out at our Air Force bases are working without pay. Furthermore, that was just the tip of the iceberg for this administration that for the past 9 months has unleashed, really unleashed its attacks on federal employees, illegally firing many of them, furloughing them, doging them. And so, I understand why the senators took the position they did. I was hoping that we would get the same type of vote in the House of Representatives. But, we'll have till January 30th, and let's sit down and negotiate it. I mean, but I'll tell you what, like, I think that they finally realized, like, you can't negotiate with people who don't want to negotiate. Republicans went through great lengths to make the American public suffer to achieve one goal, and that goal was to not extend the ACA tax credits. And so I think that our senators decided, let's give ourselves till January 30th. Let's have a vote in the Senate, and let's see if we can come to some type of 2-year, 3-year extension.
And you mentioned 2018, the year that you were elected in. I don't know if it feels like a repeat of that, where you have the on the record vote, which is coming up next month. How important is the on the record vote going into a midterm year?
Listen, again, to me, having lived through the personal cost of not being able to afford health insurance for my parents, I don't want anyone to have to go through that. I've had constituents in my office who literally are going to see their health insurance go from $85 to $700 a month, a single mother with her daughter. These costs, I mean, it's not just real costs, but it's life and death. I mean, these are screenings, preventative care, cancer treatment. People are going to be forced to make some really tough decisions. And so the politics for me are not as meaningful as basically, let's hold people accountable for where they stand on this. And, this is, to me, is really about a basic care and people having basic coverage. And, we've already seen, they've shown their colors with their big bill where they ripped away Medicaid and SNAP from millions of Americans and literally turned around protections for students with disabilities through the Department of Education. I mean, they grabbed money wherever they could, so they literally could turn around and give tax breaks to the wealthiest Americans. I mean, it's been pretty clear where they stand on this. And, at some point, I would hope that Republicans in the House of Representatives, Republicans in the Senate, maybe between now and December, there's enough Republicans who are going to go home and see their constituents, call them and tell them, my health care has gone up 500%. I can't afford it. And maybe they'll change a tune and pass an extension. Hopefully, that's what I hope for between now and the end of December. And if they don't, let's work on something between now and the end of January. Republicans want some income limits. Over 95% of people who are on the ACA tax with the ACA subsidies, they're earning under $70,000. I'm fine. Let's look at income limits. Let's look at some sort of controls. I don't know what they are, but when you start controlling by ripping away the protections of the ACA from people with pre-existing conditions, from young Americans, and of course, attacking women's reproductive health, that's when I'm going to have a lot of problems with that too.
And last couple questions. I know that you're busy today, so we thank you for taking the time. I just want to know as well, because I was talking with the insurance brokers today for our story that we were doing right before you went on, almost the exact same thing that they said that you're saying, which is that once the springtime hits, they don't know what this is going to mean. They're wondering if people are going to go that uninsured route. What do you make of that, hearing that it's not just, I know the constituents calling you, that these insurance brokers saying the same thing?
Listen, I mean, this is going to affect every aspect of our healthcare system, our hospitals, our rural hospitals. We're going to see more uninsured patients, and that's going to mean higher healthcare costs for every Nevadan, every American. And so there's a lot of uncertainty. We had a chance to really, this was our chance to really address this right now. Now the ball's rolling. People are going to have to make those decisions by mid-December on purchasing their health insurance or not purchasing it. We had a chance right now to maybe do something stopgap, open up a special enrollment period to adjust for the time lapse. Hopefully we can, you know, patch something together to do that later. But right now, people are going to have to make some tough choices come the middle of December.
And last question for you as well. We've been seeing some ads on TV just about suggesting that you've been suggesting political violence, things like that. Call your Congress member. What do you make of the noise going on right now as this
This is
is
from the party that basically incited an insurrection. And so, listen, Republicans, I am in a district that Donald Trump won. They, have always campaigned against me. They're taking a political speech. There was nothing about that speech that incited violence. And so I think it's pretty ludicrous coming from that source.
didn't even let me finish the question, but you knew where exactly I was going with that one. Thank you so much for taking the time. Anything else you like to add before we let you go?
No, thank you. I just think the whole thing is, but look at my record. I mean, I've been in our community for 33 years helping the most vulnerable. I think people know where my heart and mind stands.
Representative Susie Lee, thank you so much for taking the time today.